So, a very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this webinar. My name is Inashri, and I'm the product manager for Utimaco at Bulwark. Allow me to briefly introduce our team and the distinguished speakers from Utimaco who will be sharing their insights with us today for this presentation and webinar. Allow me to introduce Ibrahim, our country manager for KSA, Mohammed Ikrauddin, the senior technical consultant at Utimaco, Yasser, our sales consultant at KSA, Kitchen, Bulwark's technical head, and Navumi, responsible for inside sales. From the Utimaco side, we have been joined by Osvaldo, our regional channel head, and Khalid, the technical head for Utimaco. Well, before we dive deeper into the presentation, let me give you a quick overview of Bulwark. For the past 25 years, Bulwark has been a value-added distributor in the cybersecurity solution space across the MENA region. Over the years, with continued success, we have expanded our presence, opening offices in KSA and India, with headquartered in Dubai. We have successfully onboarded various vendors, including Utimaco, and have built a robust partner ecosystem for more than 270 partners across the region. We have an excellent track record of delivering the best technology to our customers in this region, and as well as in KSA and Indian subcontinent. Our team is made up of dedicated specialists, channel expert, certified technical professionals, and highly creative marketing team. Well, let's talk about a little bit of Utimaco and Bulwark. And we have maintained a strong partnership over a year now, more than a year and over 5 years. Utimaco, a German-based company, is a global leader specializing in hardware security modules, ensuring data privacy and helping organization meet compliance standards like SAMA and NCA in Saudi region. These solutions are widely accepted across various sectors, including banking, finance, government, and telecommunication, providing robust encryption capabilities to ensure sensitive information while ensuring compliance. Well, now I will ask Osvaldo to take it forward from here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. So again, my name is Osvaldo Bucci, and I'm the channel sales manager for Utimaco in the Middle East region. That is one of the most important for us. I've been with Utimaco for a couple of years now, and I spent basically all my working life in the cybersecurity and IT. I've been working for a distributor. I've been working for vendors, and I'm happily covering the role of channel manager for Utimaco. With me there is my colleague Khaled. I will introduce Khaled later on, and Khaled is the head of technical and sales engineer for the region with Utimaco. So just a few words about my company and the way we operate on the market. This slide is just to share the concept that we are a multinational company operating everywhere in the world. The company is very old, so is on the market since, I would say, more than 50 years. And this is important because we are not a newcomer in the security space. We are basically a company that is there since a very long time. The headquarters of the company is in Germany. You see in my slides here in Haken. That is a small village close to the border to Belgium and then the Netherlands, but we have many offices worldwide. I'm sharing this with you just to let you know that we are in the condition to provide a real follow the sun support, meaning that if there is an issue in the middle of the night for a customer in the Middle East, there are other offices active in other places of the world that are ready to help, ready to support. Um, I'm saying we are a leading company, but it's just my opinion. What I want to share with you that it's not my opinion only. That there are many research, many. You can make a quick search on the internet, and you will see that Utimaco is globally recognized like a leading company on the market. Few words about the business model. That is very important. I'm a channel guy. I'm a channel supporter, and we are a 100% channel sales-driven company. Bulwark is one of the most important partners for us worldwide. And Bulwark is not just the typical distributor acting like a box mover. Bulwark is a real value-added distributor that is granting also local support, and this is also valid for the Saudi market, where we happily close different deals, and also with the local help of local technical people coming from Bulwark. And this is very important for us because, as I said in the previous slide, we have many offices, but we cannot be everywhere. We cannot be everywhere directly. So the relationship with our partners is the most important one, to make sure that any local customer, any local partner we work with as a local point of contact. And in our case, for the Saudi market is Bulwark. So going to what Utimaco is offering, it's quite difficult, and I would say also sometimes boring, to go into the details of technologies. We are in a very niche market. So instead of explaining the product number A, the product number B, the solution number A, the solution number B, it's easier on the sales level. And also, to share in a clear way to you listening to me what we do. What are the most important questions that we address with what we sell, basically? And of course, I want to try to give you also some answers to those questions. So cybersecurity, and so in general, any customer with the help of system integrator or local partners, what it's trying to achieve is to create a very solid castle to protect the assets. So cybersecurity most of the time is a concept where you start using firewalls, you start using everything possible to be protected from external attacks and protect the most important assets, the most important goods, your money, your reputation, whatever it is important in your business. So the details of your customers, if you are a bank, the transactions, if you are a bank, the phone calls, if you are a telco. The way cybersecurity is most of the time operating is building the most possible solid castle to protect your belongings, your assets. Okay, but cybersecurity is also made by important details. And as you can see, there is a small detail here on the bottom right in my slide that I want to better investigate. So the most important question is, what is the key to your kingdom? What is the key allowing anyone to open the walls, the very solid walls of your castle? As I wrote here in this slide, any hacker is able to zoom in. So any hacker is able to see this huge castle and see this small detail here that someone left the key available there. So any hacker is able to understand that it's despite the solidity of what you have done, it's quite easy to enter, to penetrate the protection of your customer. And this is possible, of course, if you do not check details. So if you don't take care of details, and in this specific case, if you don't protect the key to your kingdom in the right way. Why I'm talking about key or keys? Because basically Utimaco is a company dealing with data protection and encryption. So what we do is to make sure that your data are protected. And to do this, we allow organization to manage encryption in the right way. Encryption is a generic concept to say that basically your data is not available unless you have a specific secret. We can call it a specific key that you use basically to be able to open the protection to your data and read the content. Okay, so we said the protection of the key is one of the most important concepts. So we need to do the right choice here. There are different ways of protecting a key. So there are different ways of protecting the secret that you are using to manage the encryption of your data. Encryption of your data again means the protection of the names of customers or names of employees or the PIN in a transaction. Any data can be protected using encryption. So what is the right choice? You can have your key inside the software. This is very common. I give you a very quick example, a real one, because all of us are aware of the use of databases. So we know there are many database vendors on the market. I can mention, I don't know, Oracle as an example. And all the database vendors are offering the encryption capability of the database, meaning that they are offering the chance to use a secret key to make sure that if someone is stealing the database, basically is not able to read the content of that database. And this is clever because I don't want someone stealing my information. And I also want that if someone is able to steal the information, he cannot use that information because he doesn't have the key. What does it mean, key in a software? It means that most of the time, the key that is protecting your Oracle database is just on the same server where the Oracle database is running. And this is a little bit odd, strange, because it's, again, you are leaving the key of your castle there, exactly in front of the castle. And this is exactly the same. So there is an option in this case. There is another way of protecting the keys, and the key can be stored. So the secret, the most important small piece of your big castle can be protected inside a dedicated environment, hardware environment. This is compliant with the highest level of security. And it is most of the time also mandatory by local regulations. And this is one of the topics we want to talk about today. So the regulations driving a little bit the encryption market. Okay, so the most important question is, where is your key? Or where are your keys? Because this is a typical customer. It's a technical slide, but with very high level concept that I'm sales, so I can understand. So this is a customer, and customer is made by applications running inside the IT infrastructure of that customer. Is made by files, file folders, servers, is made by databases. The example I've just used. Backup systems. All the customers have virtual machines. They have cloud applications. All those environments all those environments are basically using keys to manage the encryption, the protection of the data stored in those environments. Who can access those keys? There are different entities that are able to access the keys. Those entities are applications, are internal admin, are devices, are partners or customers. So it's very important to do the right choice. That was what I said in the previous slide, to define in the best way where you want to store your keys. Khaled, do you mind moving to the next slide, please? Because I think you took the control. No, not yet. Okay. So I leave now the word to Khaled, that is going to describe basically the way we are allowing organization to protect the data and manage the keys.
Yes, great. I have the control now. Thank you, Osvaldo. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Inashi and Polog team, for arranging this webinar. Very happy to have you all today. So first, let me introduce myself. This is Khaled Shams, sales engineer in Utimaco. I have joined Utimaco almost 7 months ago. Before, the last 5 years of experience was mainly between couple of distributors handling different vendors in the HSM and encryption area. Mainly the 3 main vendors as a presence in the Middle East or even worldwide. Before, couple of experience steps in partners across the regions and teleco provider, mainly in cybersecurity. But as I mentioned, the last 5 years, almost 5 years, mainly my experience and my focus on the HSM and the encryption area, covering most of the vendors. So moving to completing the part Osvaldo was mentioning related to the encryption and how we managing the key. You know, as a quick intro to continue on the same points Osvaldo mentioned related to the encryption. You know, the most important part for the privacy to encrypting the data, and completing on the same example for database, we are protecting our data by encrypting the data. For example, database, we are encrypting it. This is the first step. But secondly, we have to properly manage and protect the encryption key. And this is the way we got all the regulations, all the mandated point to be in place for hardware security module, which is the HSM, to be properly protecting the key. Started from software, then we are moving to the hardware. Why we are moving to the hardware, this is something we will show in the upcoming slides. So we have 2 ways, as Osvaldo mentioned, for protecting the key. First point, you can protect your key using a software, but it's still holding your key even on the operating system files. Somehow it's included, somehow you don't have a control over this key usage, who is extracting the key, who is even utilizing the key. So moving from software to hardware, this is a transaction of having HSM. So we have hardware security module. From the naming, HSM, it stands for hardware security module. So this is something must be hardware. Why it has to be hardware? Because of couple of things. You know, for any security product, if you enable SSL offloading or doing any encryption on this security tool, you are almost losing from 40 to 60% of the performance. So we have a dedicated hardware designed mainly with the crypto chips, dedicatedly to do cryptography, do encryption, do signing, do verifying, encryption, decryption, hashing, all the cryptography stuff. This is the first point, mandating us to have HSM as a hardware. Second point, the hardware itself, the physical protection itself, with a tamper evident. So this is even hardware designed mainly to do the necessary performance for encryption, and even tamper evident against any physical attack as a protecting or as a safe to the encryption key inside the HSM. So we have hardware designed mainly for this operation. We have a full control with multi-factor authentication, not for users anymore. For the HSM here, we are speaking about a dedicated device holding the key of application of database at the back end. And even we have owners for each key. We have a multi-factor authentication with a very restricted rule. So we are protecting our key. We are protecting the control and who is using the key, who is utilizing the key. We have high-speed crypto processing to make sure that we are not losing the performance of the security tool or the application or the database, and even secure a high quality encryption and high quality keys generated from a dedicated processor from a true random number generator to generate the keys for the encryption. Then even the auditing and compliance. We are a FIPS compliant, common criteria, NATO restricted, EIDAS, all the compliance we have in our HSM, so we can comply with all the regulations, whatever it's dedicatedly, even for example for Saudi market, NCA and SAMA, or globally like FIPS. So we have a FIPS certificate starting from level 1 up to level 4. For the time being, the one approved and requested, which is FIPS 140-2 level 3-3. This is in the process to be mandated in mid of next year, but for now the level 3. But there is some differences between the 4 levels. First level, that you are just using some tools to produce the encryption algorithm, some software. Second one, with more restrictions for rule-based authentication, somehow relying on a physical device. But the level 3 and 4, this is something must be hardware, and this is something mentioned in most of the regulations, that you have to rely on a physical hardware, tamper evident, as I mentioned. If someone is trying to manipulate it physically, try to extract the PCI card from the HSM as a network device to extract the key, well, the HSM will report tamper resistant and will destroy the key and went in tamper mode. So that's why we have a hardware that this is where we come from in the FIPS certificate, why we have to get a hardware to comply with the FIPS 140-2 or -3 level 3, which is mandating the HSM as a hardware. So as we agreed, we have our hardware, we have the HSM. Generically, we have it in a 2 types, as a PCIe card and network device. What is the difference? Both are doing the same, totally. Both are tamper resistant, both having the the crypto chips, the processing for cryptography, supporting everything, all the algorithms, all the APIs, but a single difference here. The PCIe card just supporting the server or the physical server we are attaching the PCI card to, will not be able to support external use cases. The network device can support wide or different use cases at the same time. From the naming, it's a network device having IP address, communicating with different applications at the same time, so can be integrated with many applications. But if you do a low level insight on the HSM itself as a network device, you will find a network chassis inside it PCIe card. But some use cases, we need a dedicated PCIe card to acting as the HSM for a single server, and we have a network device to be supporting different use cases at the same time. This is the main 2 types. Okay, overall, we have different models from the HSM. Differences in the performance, starting from 100 transactions per second, and for the HSMs, for any performance brackets and sizing, we are doing it based on number of transactions per second. So we have flexibility starting from 100 transactions per second up to 40,000 transactions per second, with even one of the unique capabilities, which is multi-tenancy. We are almost the only HSM vendor providing multi-tenancy, not partitioning. So I'm trying to highlight some key points you may find in any discussion related to the HSM. All of the HSM providers do partitioning inside the HSM to differentiate key for each use case or each application, to differentiate the owners. But on top of the partitioning, which is one we are doing already, we have multi-tenancy. Each model can be separated or segregated into CHSMs, containerized HSM. Each model can support certain limit or certain number of containers. So this is something also we have as a unique capability inside the HSM. The smallest one, which is 100 transaction per second, can support one container. Even up to the 40K can support 12 container, and even up to 31 containers. Maybe it's not mentioned here, but this is something we can support up to 31 containers in the high end HSM, which is the SE40K. So this is the models we have and the performance brackets. So moving to the use cases, mainly for the general purpose HSM, which is one of the main products and the main requirement in the region. I just need to highlight some use cases. We will not dig deep inside each one, but I just wanted to highlight it to, the keywords when it comes to any discussion with the customer, with any initial technical discussion. So once you hear these key points or keywords, you will realize it's something must rely on HSM to be complying, to get a license for some services. Mainly the first one, the PKI, public key infrastructure. This is one of the main use cases must be relying on a general purpose HSM. Why? The PKI infrastructure, this is something relying on some servers to issue certificates, whether it's internally, externally, to be communicating with internal application databases. So once you have any certificates or certificate issuer, you have to rely on HSM. In issuing the certificate, this is a digital signing. You have to rely on HSM to protect your digital key or digital signing using the key, the private key, must be protected inside the HSM, as we mentioned before. Otherwise, your signing key will be easy to be exposed. So anyone will be able to issue certificate to himself, issue certificate instead of some applications. So will jump in the communication and see your traffic. Even can publish himself instead of you. So you have to rely on HSM. So one of the main use cases, the PKI. Again, the PKI is attached also to some use cases or some stories related to the IoT environment relying on PKI to issue certificates to some machines communicating together or any backend application. So this is something relying on issuing certificates. Same, this is something must rely on HSM. Same for code signing and key injection. If you need to do digital signing for codes, you have to rely on a key inside HSM. Key injection for injecting key for a wide range of use cases. Again, relying on HSM to generate the key from a hardware tamper evident device through random number generator and so on. Data encryption. Maybe you have some application encrypting data, encrypting files. So you have to protect the encryption key. Document signing. This is something not very well known for the time being, but I'm pretty much sure it will be mandated in the near future for digitally signing the document. So you still need to protect or properly store your private key, which is responsible to do document signing. Moving to our edge in this area and how we can support this wide range of use cases, this huge expansion in relying on a hardware security module. We have easy user management. We are the only ones providing GUI management in addition to the CLI, very easy management tool. So this is edge also, in addition to the HSM simulator. Let me give overview about the simulator itself. This is a magic tool. Most of the project I worked before with Utimaco or with even a different vendors, most of the customers, they rely on an additional device to be used in testing. As mentioned, in the HSM area, the curve is increasing. It's going high for more integrations, more relying on the HSM. So we have to do a lot of integration dev environment to integrate, to test a new integrations instead of doing it on a production. So you have to secure additional device as a testing. So it's a higher cost, more complexity, and it's not easy to do it for each customer. A lot of budget restrictions we have, so we are neglecting this. So we are losing expansion, we are losing testing we have a magic tool called HSM Simulator. It's software, fully functional HSM, acting as a real HSM, fully functional software, can be run on Windows or Linux. So you can use it for testing, you can use it for training. So this is something, a great advantage from technical perspective as a testing tool, and even from financial perspective, which is saving a lot of money. Second point, the licensing model we have. Most of the features we have providing as a perpetual free of charge. So you will have only the performance and that's it. We will be supporting the great licensing model way. Again, affecting the technical capability. You have a chance to do more integration in terms of connecting a new application to the HSM without licensing and so on. And even from pricing perspective. Again, the flexibility for the containers, the flexibility for the management, the deployment, the remote management, the multi-tenancy. So a lot of points. I don't want to dig deep inside these points, but generically, we are the only one doing this licensing model. Generically, to do a license sizing for the HSM, you have to consider with all the vendors from 8 to 10 points to do a proper sizing, to generate a proper POQ. From our side, only the performance, and you can have your POQ with all the capabilities inside the offering without any additional cost. So this is something we are mapping to the main regulations in Saudi, which is NCA and SAMA. Mainly, you know, a lot of details mentioned or put in NCA regulations. We have a couple of documentation, you know, the NCA Triple C Cloud Cybersecurity Controls and the Essential Cybersecurity Controls ECC. We have the Critical System Cybersecurity Controls CSCC, and the main one, the main umbrella for the National Cyber Cryptographic Standards, the NCA, which is mentioning all the details related to the encryption. But we here just consolidate some sections for each document, mapping to the cryptography and key management and how we can cover these parts. So overview, we will share a copy of this with you so you can go through it in all the details. But for example, for the first document, Triple C, we have a section 2-7 for cryptography. We have another one, 2-15 for key management, asking for the objective related to somehow properly and efficient use of the cryptography protected information and ensure the secure key management to protect the confidentiality and integrity and availability of the information and the technical assets. This is somehow mapped to the GPHSM, the general purpose HSM we have discussed, and the ESKM, which is another product we can provide as a software or even as a hardware embedded inside the HSM to do some different capabilities related to key management, just key life cycle management, without protecting or keeping the key inside a dedicated hardware. Same for section, cryptography section, mentioned in the essential cybersecurity controls, and the CSCC, also section related to cryptography, just overview, mapping some requirement related to the cryptography, which is some for encrypting all the critical system for data at rest and data in motion. So we are just mentioned that totally complying with our GPHSM, maybe for some keywords mentioned the hardware, or even only the ASKM for some use cases mentioned just for key management without relying on HSM. Back to the main one, or the most important one, the NCA, National Cyber Cryptographic Standards. Here they are mentioned all the details, which is mandating the HSM, for example, for any critical system protection. If you see cryptographic operations must be performed in a certified hardware component. So this is mapped directly to the HSM. Why our HSM compliant? Since we have the hardware, FIPS certified, common criteria, tamper resistant. So we are complying with all the regulations internally for locally for NCA, for example, and even globally for FIPS and common criteria and net restricted devices also. So here's some the key protection lifetime. This is something can be adjusted totally from the application itself. Only also section mentioning the post-quantum cryptography. So this is something not mandated yet, but you have to purchase a HSM, future-proof against any improvement in the post-quantum, which is something we take care of also. Our device, for the time being, can support some post-quantum cryptography. And for the future expansion or improvement, you don't have to replace the HSM. We have a chance to just implement a new firmware supporting a new post-quantum cryptography. All the algorithms mentioned, we do support for symmetric, asymmetric, for hash functions, key wrapping, extraction, all the algorithms mentioned, we are supporting. We will just ask for, is it mainly we need HSM in place as a hardware? We can provide. If it's just software, this is something also we can provide for key management purposes. So we'll share it with you so you can dig deep and see all the details. And please, if you have any question, feel free to write it in the chat. Before I hand it over to Osvaldo, I will, after I hand it over to Osvaldo, I will go through all the question and answer you. So the last one, the success stories we have, especially in Saudi market. So for the customer names, this is something we cannot disclose. This is important. We are not providing a normal security product. This is mainly related to encryption and protecting sensitive data. So this is something we cannot tell or cannot mention in any presentation or any discussion to mention a customer name. But without mentioning the customers, we have some success stories in the banking sector, mainly with a general purpose HSM and payment HSM. And this is important topic. We'll touch it quickly. For the HSM in general, we have two types: general purpose HSM and payment HSM, doing the same idea, but the payment HSM mainly and dedicatedly for payment transaction, ATM network. GB HSM do all the integrations outside the payment transaction, related to PKI, digital signing, all the use cases we mentioned. So in banking sector in Saudi market, we have a lot of references with the GB and payment HSM, both of them. In the government sector and public sector, we have a huge references in Saudi market with the general purpose HSM and key management, the ESKM. With another government sector also, we have PKI integration with our GPHSM, huge PKI project. Same with the teleco provider, with IoT infrastructure. Also, as I mentioned, for supporting the PKI with the GPHSM and additional some key management use cases. Same, we are in a presence for one of the service providers doing digital signing as a service, providing services related to digital signing, relying on our GPHSM at the back end. We have our HSM protecting the signing key. So because of our high performance models and the multi-tenancy capability we provide, we have a great reference in the service provider providing the digital signing as a service. And also for another banking sector related to POS key injection, we have a tool to injecting the key for remote POSs. Instead, we have a huge number of POSs. You cannot inject the key inside every POS manually. You have to do it with a tool to injecting the key remotely and automatically, and relying on a payment HSM to secure the communication between the POS for any payment transaction to the back end bank, maybe through a network international like Visa and MasterCard. So we have presence here also. This is only in Saudi market. If we get back to the other countries, we have a great presence in Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, same for Egypt. So even in Turkey now. So we have a lot of references inside Saudi and across the different sectors, and even in the remaining countries in the Middle East. So this is something also important to be mentioned. And as I mentioned, please feel free to write any questions in the chat. I will check it now and working on answering all the questions as much as I can. So we'll hand over again to Osvaldo to continue the remaining part of the presentation. So Osvaldo, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Khaled. Thanks a lot. So basically, just to finish the journey, we started from explaining what we are addressing as typical needs, typical use cases, and the concept of thinking about the right place to protect the keys. Okay, because we said the keys are the secret used to protect the data. After that, we explained that the HSM, so the hardware we do offer is the solution, is the answer to that question. And Khaled made a great job explaining specific use cases where the HSM is typically used. And we also share with you real deals we won together with Bulwark in the in the Saudi market. Just to finish this journey, I want to share with you that we have been focusing a lot on the HSM itself, but what Utimaco is offering is a set of different solutions that are basically covering all the possible needs when it comes to encryption and data protection. We have seen also a list of the compliance, the compliant features we have with the local regulations like NCA and SAMA. So just to give you a very high-level overview, we spoke a lot about this piece of the offering of Utimaco. You should see my pointer. I'm highlighting the general purpose HSM. That is part of the data protection offering that we have, but that one is not the only piece. As you can see, we have some file and folder encryption capabilities. So we have solution specific for the management of file and folder encryptions. And this is there are plenty of use cases where you need a specific solution for that. Just think about, your HR department just storing names of employees, or the hospital just storing inside folders the name of the people hosted in the hospital. So this is to say that it's not just the general purpose HSM, but it is an extension of different solutions when it comes to data protection. And we do offer this as a service as well. As a service is the way we can complete an on-prem installation and on-prem deployment with additional services coming from the cloud. And sometimes this is used for backup situation or for testing environment. We spoke a lot about keys, and Khaled already said when it comes to keys, it's not just only protecting the keys, and this is the role of the HSM, it's also managing the keys. It means that when you have keys distributed in different environments, like, I don't know, VMware, virtual machines, databases in the cloud, in most of the cases, the regulations, and it was quite clear checking the list made by Khaled in terms of single paragraph of the current NCA and SAMA regulation, they often need for auditing purpose as well, and also for security reasons, a key management system. So they need basically a software or hardware solution that is managing the life cycle of keys. We are one of the most important vendors worldwide in the key management systems. And we spoke about payments, and Khaled said that when it comes to payment, there are dedicated solutions for the payment. Just because performance required are different, the regulations are different. So when it comes to general purpose HSM, is more FIPS. When it is the payment sector, it's more PCI DSS. There are other types of regulations required. And also the algorithms often used are different. And that's why we have a dedicated offering in terms of key injection and payment HSMs for the payment. Everything we sell, everything we have, key management, general purpose HSM, payment HSM, we have as a service as well, as I said. And we know the Saudi market is more focused on on-prem solution, which is good. We mentioned that we have also an as a service offering because sometimes, again, for some backup systems or for testing or for projects where you don't need the HSM for many years, but it's a specific requirement for a short period of time. In that case, maybe it is useful to go for the as a service offering as well. My last slide, and this is to say that what we have as an ecosystem is meant to be integrated with all the most important actors, all the most important partners in all the possible market sectors. So all those names here are the ones, going back to my first slide where I started this at the beginning, are the ones used by most of the customer to basically create the solid castle, are the one protecting all the different aspects. And we are in the center because we are basically the one managing, again, the keys. And we must be in the condition to talk to all of them. So we have a wide set of integration available in all the possible directions. So when it comes to car personalization in the banking environment, we have integration with most of the most important names. When it comes to POS terminals, same stuff. Key management systems with PKI vendors. This is, of course, not the complete list. Those are just few names. Just to share that that what we do is basically enabling also the third party to complete what they are doing with an additional layer of security. I use just this one, I don't know, as an example, CyberArk. So they are a privileged access management software, and the engine of CyberArk is based on the use of keys. Or the load balancers of F5 are based on the use of keys. We are the missing piece to store the keys and manage the keys in the right way, in the secure way, and most important, in compliance with the current regulations. So that's all from our side. I think I will now ask, please, Sonali, maybe to check if there's any specific question that we can try to answer now.
There's a question from Mohammed who has mentioned that, do you have a questionnaire for HSM?
Yes, absolutely. We do have. So we can share it with you along with some slides related to the NCA regulations. And it's very simple, as we mentioned, when it comes to do this sizing for UTMACO HSM. It's a very simple, just taking care of the performance and the use cases we will do support. Even, however, we have a dedicated questionnaire for the HSM. We can share it along with some documentation data sheet and the NCA regulation mapping. So we will share it also.
The next question, which has come in from Mohammed again, is what is the alternative virtual edition for HSM?
Okay, for the HSM itself, or answering the first question related to the alternative for as a virtual edition for the HSM, HSM stands for Hardware Security Module. So there is no way to have HSM as a software. But some use cases, you need just a key management solution. For example, just managing the whole life cycle of the key, for integration directly with vCenter for protecting the encryption keys of the OS. The operating system or the images in VMware. So we have key management as a software This is something we'll be communicating with some application through API called KMIP, doing key lifecycle management and even protecting the key inside database, but it's still something relying on a software. So this is something can cover part. For HSM itself, this is something must be FIPS certified. And as you already saw in the presentation, the FIPS level, which is something mandated, must be hardware, relying on hardware. Even for testing purposes and integration testing and training, we have our virtual HSM, which is just a simulator with all the capabilities in terms of APIs and administrator rules. But when it comes to supporting this HSM, we don't provide support on this virtual one. We don't provide any thing related to high performance operation. This is just for testing purposes without relying on it in a real deployment or something like this. For HSM, this is something must be hardware. The one who is purchasing or asking for HSM need to comply with a certain regulations, so he must rely on HSM. As a software, we have the key management as a software for some use cases related to KMAP integration and so on. The second question related to deployment in a service providers. Yes, we do have deployment. Especially we have the high performance HSMs, so we can support a huge number of transactions per second, matching a service providers like Mobile, as you mentioned. So yes, we do have in the region, and even with some central banks supporting and hosting a huge number of transactions. So since we have high performance HSM, moving to the competition, you will find the high end HSM will reach maximum 10,000 transactions per second. We do have 40K transactions per second, and even multi-tenancy, the licensing model with unlimited number of partitions, client connections to enable communication integration with the HSM, all of this unlimited without any charge. So that's why we have a great presence in the service providers, but not all of them, since not all of them relying on HSM so far. But in opening such communication with the service provider, so we can even increase our availability.
And if
So
I can
we have
add,
a new,
if I can
yes.
add very quickly about the service provider and the telco, generally speaking, Khaled said already, it's a matter of performance. It's also a matter of the multi-tenancy capability that we have. So we can offer, as we said, up to 31 different containerized HSMs, meaning that you can run different customers with different firmware, even different firmware on the same appliance. So it's the best fit for a service provider. And also, when it comes to telcos, there is the 5G, the 4G, the infrastructure that is typically needing HSMs for the encryption keys used in the communication in the 5G network, for example. Because when there is a 5G infrastructure, that there is a huge number of digital certificates that are used for the authentication of people, device, the antenna, the router, and the digital certificates. The most important part of a digital certificate is a key, and again, the key must be stored most of the time by regulation side and HSM. So we have the many deployments in the service provider and telcos. And I think, Khaled, there is another call about the HSM integration with virtual server or containers. I see this in the chat. You want to take this one?
Yes. Maybe we can integrate with any application, whatever it's relying on a virtual servers or containers, as long as it's supporting BKSS 11 or CSP, CNG, Java, JCE, all this through all these protocols or APIs, you can integrate with the HSM directly. So yes, we can integrate. For example, we do integrate with F5 as a load balancer or WAF for some backend applications. So also we can share some slides along with the data sheet with all the integrations we have out of the box. Next question related to the
I can
technical.
take this one if you want.
Yes.
I mean, basically,
Yes. Yeah, sure.
No worries. I mean, as I said, we have a presence everywhere worldwide, and so we have for sure the capability of having technical people in KSA when a direct guy from Utimaco is needed. We do it, we did it, and I mean, it's the standard way. We also rely on the local partners, and Bulwark is a big role in this. So in the deployment of projects, as I said since the beginning, Bulwark is not just a box mover. It's not just collecting requests and managing request codes. They have a technical center with technical people trained on what we sell as Utimaco. So they are in the condition with their local office also to provide professional services as we are in the condition to do the same. So we fully support in terms of professional services also locally the customer in Saudi. I don't know if there are other questions. I think that one was the last one on the chat.
Yes, I think we have we are done with the questions also that way.
Yeah.
So would once again request all the attendees, in case you have any questions, you can write to us or the UTMACO team. We are there in the KSA too as well, so you can write to our KSA team as well, or the product team here as well, who handles UTMACO. And plus, we also have the UTMACO team of experts whom you can write to them, and we would be more than happy to assist you as well that way. So with this, I would like to thank Osvaldo and Khalid for the highly insightful presentation today. Last but not the least, to thank the Bulwark team also, Inashri and Ibrahim, and the Saudi team as well for their support for the webinar today. And I would also like to thank all the attendees today who took some time off to attend the webinar today. But look forward to being in touch in future to follow up with regards to your requirements. So in case you have any future requirements also, please feel free to write to us, and we would be more than happy to assist you. So with this, I would like to thank you and hope to see you all soon again. Thank you.